Hello, this is Miles, and this is part 2 of the 20 games that I feel personally the PlayStation Mini should have included. Number 11, Policenauts. Now this is a game that is coming far left, and it's maybe a game that not a lot of people know about, but if you're a fan again of Metal Gear Solid, then you will know about Policenauts because they make light of it in the game quite a few times. And that is because Kojima worked on that game before Metal Gear Solid. So this is another type of point-and-click game, but it's quite unusual, and definitely it's worth checking out because of the theme. Now, in the past there was a game called Snatcher that, again, Kojima and Konami worked on, and that is a pretty legendary game. But the thing with Policenauts is that it never actually got an English translation, not officially at least. So whenever it came out for the 3DO, the PlayStation, and the Sega Saturn, it was only in Japan. But come on, it's 2018. We want Policenauts in English, and Sony, you can do it. Konami has shown a willingness to put their games out now on, modern consoles. I mean, it took them a long time, but they're willing to do it now. Why not give us Policenauts? I mean, think about it. The Super Nintendo Mini got their special thing, which was Star Fox 2 for the first time. I mean, the game had already been finished, and it was never released or anything. And I think it was only in Japanese as well. So it's not that big of a stretch, I don't think, to say, why not release Policenauts for the PlayStation Mini? Number 12, Ridge Racer.
3, 2, 1, go!
Racing games is not really my forte. I have never really played that many of them, but one of the games that I did play for the PS1 back in the day was Ridge Racer. It's very easy to get into. It's very arcadey. It's just fun. And of course, whenever you're making a list like this, it's important to have a lot of different genres so that everybody feels welcome. And there's something for everybody, to feel nostalgic about and to really want to play. So whenever I wanted to pick a driver game for this collection, I went with Ridge Racer, the same as Sony. Number 13, Silent Hill.
Cheryl? Is that Cheryl? Where are you going? Hey, wait! Stop!
Why is this not on the official collection? This should have been on the Mini. Sony is missing a huge opportunity not putting this game on the list. Not only is it such an amazing game to a fantastic series, but the original game never came out in any sort of HD collections, and it's still, to my knowledge, a PS1 exclusive. Anybody who hasn't played this game and who is into horror games, you are doing yourself a disservice. Now don't get me wrong, this game is hard to get into, simply because it is actually that terrifying. I'm not joking. I remember playing the demo one time and freaking out, completely freaking out, and it scared me half to death. But I think the funny thing is a lot of people never actually played the proper game, the full game, or at least not enough people, because it's a masterpiece. I mean, if you're into something like Twin Peaks and the X-Files and things like that and horror movies, then you owe it to yourself to play this game. It is so incredible. Number 14, Clocktower: The First Fear. Now, the PlayStation actually has 3 Clocktower games, 1, 2, and kind of 0. 0 was actually a remake of the original, and it's called First Fear. The original game came out on the Super Nintendo, and if you follow my channel, you'll know that I tend to talk about the Clocktower series quite often. It's a series of games that I absolutely love. They're horror games with a really great stalker element to them, where you're being chased. And it's a gaming series that I wish had gotten further. Anybody who knows the gaming history of survival horror games will know that this is one of the original games there. Of course, we had Sweet Home for the Famicom, and then we had Clocktower for the Super Nintendo. But there is some things in the Super Nintendo version that just weren't as good, that could have been improved, such as the speed of characters moving about, some of the sound, and most importantly, your panic meter, that little flashing icon behind the character's background. That took forever in the Super Nintendo version to actually recharge, and it was a pain. It's a sad thing, because the game itself was great. So whenever they came out with the PS1 version, they fixed all of those things. The only problem? It never came out in the West. It was always in Japanese. So again, Sony, come on, translate it and put it on the console. Number 15, Theme Hospital. Okay, so this is another port, but hear me out. It's an incredible game. It still is to this day. And the PlayStation version is impeccable. You can play it just as easily on PC and the PlayStation 1. And having it in your front room on your main TV, just playing it on the couch, even though it's a game that's 21 years old now, it still holds up perfectly and it's still so much fun to play. I mean, imagine it being on the console. I mean, again, I understand, for a lot of people it's a PC game. They only remember playing it with a keyboard or mouse. But I guarantee you, you get a controller in your hand, you plug it into your TV, and you'll be playing that all day and night. Number 16, Civilization 2. Now I know what you're saying, another port from the PC that most people would consider far better on the PC simply because you can use a mouse. While Civilization 2 you can still easily play with a controller. While it might not look the prettiest in the Civilization series compared to some of the newer versions, to me, mechanically, it's perfect. And again, as soon as you sit on the couch and you start that game, you will be hooked, I guarantee. Now everybody, say it with me. One more turn, one more turn, one more turn! Number 17, Tomb Raider. I know a lot of people say the controls, they're all tank-like and they're solid and stiff and everything. I never had a problem with that. I thought the controls were fine, they were always good. And the game itself, I mean, wow. I was playing it last night on my actual PS1, and it still looks great. And they use the draw distance that the PS1 has in a really interesting way, in that, you know, you're exploring these caves and there's darkness all around you, and it gives a sense of, you know, the ground pressing down upon you. It's very, very clever. And in terms of the gameplay, it's still great, and there's so much mystery and intrigue and so many Easter eggs and interesting things in the game. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but the whole ending is just something that nobody ever talks about. But it's mind-blowing whenever you play it. Tomb Raider should have been included. Number 18, Twisted Metal 2.
Calypso! Calypso, what have you done? What have you done?
The world will be my battleground. Paris, Hong Kong, even Antarctica. There will be no safe zones this year, no places to hide. In the next 24 hours, the entire world will know my name. They will see my beautiful work of art firsthand. No one will be safe. I promise you that. Good luck, driver. Welcome to Twisted Metal.
Okay, so they included Twisted Metal 1. It's an okay game, but it is in no way Twisted Metal 2. I think everybody who's ever played the Twisted Metal series will always agree that the second one was just the best. I know Twisted Metal Black has a lot of fans, but I think Twisted Metal 2 is just that bit better. It's a bit faster, the characters stand out just that bit more, and the destructible environments just seem that bit more interesting to me. So why did they go with Twisted Metal 1 instead of 2? I have no idea, but it should have been there. Number 19, XCOM. Again, I'm gonna hit you with those ports, but XCOM is a fantastic game, back in the day, and it still is today. This is the original version. And in fact, the PS1 got an updated version that the PC never got, with better sound, better graphics, and better interfaces. Although, the interfaces are maybe still a little clunky. But like I said with Theme Hospital and Civilization 2, this is a game that once you start playing, you will get hooked. And because it is the start of this big gaming series that everybody knows now that is actually quite mainstream, I think a lot of people would want to come back and play the original. Both the older players who are nostalgic for the game, and for the newer generations who never got to play the original. Well, I wish you could now, if it was included on the PlayStation Mini. Number 20, Xenogears. What an RPG. While everybody was still basking in the glory that, rightfully so, is Final Fantasy VII, so many people neglected Xenogears. It has, since then, become a cult hit. A lot of people know about it now, but I still feel a lot of people never got to play it. Again, it never came out on any of the other consoles. It's still, to this day, a PlayStation 1 exclusive, which is such a shame because not a lot of people have experienced the unique gameplay and especially the unique, incredibly advanced, detailed plot of this game. I will say that maybe the plot is a little too complicated. It spirals out of control and it gets pretty epic, pretty crazy too. But whenever you're talking about the PS1 and wanting to play games again on that system, especially ones that you can't play anymore, Xenogears has to be on that list. It is a true gem back then and it still is today. So that's my list. What do you think? Do you agree with some of it? Do you disagree with some of it? I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree with some of it. Because I am such a fan of the PS1 and I do collect for the system quite a bit, I felt like I could add maybe some interesting things into the mix of what could have potentially been on the PlayStation Mini. So even if you don't agree with everything that I said, hopefully you'll have an introduction to some of the games that maybe you didn't know were on the console. Overall, the list though, again, it's not my favorite games. It's not even the most classic games for the system. But I feel like I could enjoy the system the most if those games were on it. Now, there was a lot of games, obviously, I had to cut, like Final Fantasy VII is a big exclusion. I do agree it should be on the Mini, but I feel like maybe it's over a little saturated, that game. I think Xenogears needs to maybe be pushed up into the spotlight a little bit more. But anyway, that's it for me. So I hope you enjoyed my opinion, and again, let me know what you thought. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.